The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about the insane.
Welcome in, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Hello, friends. Demons, devils, goblins, witches, whatever. Spooks.
Yep.
Welcome to Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And here we are, episode 28.
28.
What is it?
This is The Devil and Demons.
Ooh. Right along with our theme.
Yes, this is episode 4 of 5 in the spooky series.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're about to get spooky in a minute.
Spooky.
But before we do, shall we talk about anything from last week?
Yes, we had a comment that I wanted to share.
Cool.
It says, this is from last week was Ghosts.
Right.
Your episode on Ghost was really interesting. I have always called my house haunted because strange things happen. Lights flicker. I hear my name being called, things like that. Now I'm wondering if it's just my relatives talking to me. Have a great week, Trisha.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Trisha.
You know, it's funny that she brought that up because I kind of meant to in the show, is that I grew up with that too. Like my grandma, they had this room in like the back of their house. Nobody ever went in that room.
Mhm.
But when my grandma's sister came to stay with us, she slept in that room. And then she passed away. And
Right.
so my mom always told me that room was haunted. Just the room,
That's
not the
funny.
house. Just the room. Don't go in the room. So I was scared to death to go in that room. So, yeah. So I know
Yeah, I
the
think
feeling
we
of
all-
thinking you live in a haunted house.
Yeah.
And we do technically live in a haunted house. We all do.
I think we all kind of have like one of those memories of where we equated something scary maybe that we saw on TV with something we were experiencing in real life
Yes.
and thinking, ooh, that's scary.
Yeah,
Like there was
exactly.
a closet or a room or something I had seen somewhere. I remember my grandmother had a beauty salon in Santa Monica for years.
Uh-huh.
And we always went through the back entrance when we went to visit her with my mom.
Mhm.
And the back entrance was like this dark hallway. And it was sort of Alice in Wonderland because I remember the checkerboard
Yeah.
floor, the white and black checkerboard tile. And it was a long, dark hallway with just kind of random things that were being stored in the hallway. So some of them were covered with like drapes over them, but there
Right.
was a mannequin.
Oh, no.
So it kind of spooked
Oh,
me because
yeah.
I'm like, what's under these other things that I can't see? Nothing. It was
Right.
nothing. It
But
was,
it's
you know.
your imagination and what
Right.
you're fed, and that it's bad. And
Yeah.
and for Trisha, that she hears those things and those things happen in her home. Yeah, that's definitely the other side trying to get through to you somehow.
yeah.
Yeah. What other
But
way
not to
can
hurt
they?
you.
No,
Or
not
scare
to
you.
hurt you. Mm-mm. No, it can be scary, but they don't mean to do that. You know, they're not like,
Right.
watch this,
No.
watch this. Let me scare my
That's
daughter.
your
This will be
perception
fun.
of
Yeah.
what it is.
Exactly.
You know. But when you walk away from it, you have to answer yourself, did something happen to me?
Right. That's exactly right.
No.
Yep. And that kind of goes in with this week's episode as well.
Right. Well, thanks, Trisha.
Yeah. Thanks, Trisha.
Cool.
So, and then next week we had said it's the last week of our spooky week. So we're going to talk about Halloween and I don't know what else yet, but we'll make a good episode for you. I'm looking forward to it because I believe it was Drunk History that we were watching that they were talking about the history of Halloween.
Mhm.
So I have to look it up and stuff. But
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't either, but I remember that the story was very interesting, and I
Yeah, it was,
hadn't
very.
heard it before. So yeah,
Cool.
so yeah, that's my recap.
That's it?
That's it.
Nice. Didn't you say you had a review?
Oh, we did have another 5-star iTunes review that it was just you can push review like put
right.
5 stars, so it didn't have anything with it. But
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to whoever did that.
yes, thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
We love those.
All right. Well, if that wraps up the wrap up from last week,
The wrap up.
let's hop into 28.
28, The Devil and Demons.
All right. Sounds scary.
You know, this one it got me very emotional, not like crying emotional, like upset, like angry almost, passionate.
Right.
There's the word I'm looking for. Because all of this stuff, and I think that we should say this up front, this is obviously our opinion.
Right.
Everybody has their own opinion. But for us, just going into this, we'll tell you that we're not believers in hell. We believe that there's a part of heaven that you may go to if you're a lost soul for a little while, but there's no fiery burning pit that we're going to. So that's where we're coming from when we talk about this stuff, and we do realize it's opinion.
And if you're not mortal, you don't have a body, even if you did go somewhere like that, you wouldn't feel a dang thing.
Right. Yeah.
And then if God makes us all in his image, if you want to take that from a Christianity standpoint or a biblical standpoint, or just maybe from our standpoint that we're an extension or personalization of God, which is kind of essentially the same thing.
Right.
Why on earth would he want to throw himself or an extension of himself into some fiery lake for eternity? It doesn't make an ounce of sense.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And I said to you a little while ago that I know there's going to be some religion that's going to tie into here. It's just when you talk about the devil and hell, it's just unavoidable. There's no way to not talk about it. So again, these are our beliefs.
Right.
So let me read you first what the definition is of a couple of things. First of all, devil, and there's only one devil. So there's no the devils. There might be a sports team, but that's there's just one devil, and just like only one God. And he's also known as Satan. He was an angel who rebelled against God. He's the enemy of God and humankind. His mission is to kill, destroy, and enslave us.
Right.
Okay. And then demons are an evil spirit or source or agent of the devil. So that's the difference.
Right.
One is the source and one is the workers, basically.
Right.
So I asked our listeners if they believe in these concepts and exactly how they're portraying them in these definitions. And 76% of our listeners says that they do not believe in this kind of portrait of the devil and demons.
Not of Lucifer.
Right.
Not of the archangel. I don't believe that. I believe that he existed.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes, for sure.
That he does exist. His, if I might share about that real fast.
Sure, go for it.
In Five Lives Remembered, one of Dolores's books, they get into that. And they talk about some of these souls when they transition, how you're talking about sort of the entry level maybe of heaven.
Right.
Where your perception, you're not sure. So whatever it is you sort of perceive is what you're going to get.
I think it's called the astral plane.
You might be right.
Yeah, I think so.
That these souls, because of the reputation of Lucifer and through stories and whatnot, these souls tend to try to want to hang around him.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with him.
Right.
It doesn't. He's not really what we've made that up to be.
No, none of this is really. If you pick it apart, it's just, I don't know, stories.
Right.
I had an interesting thing happen to me yesterday that made me think on this subject, because something about, we get all of these things from the Bible. Hell, demons, God, all of it we get from the Bible, right? But look at where the information in the Bible came from. It came from somebody that was either like myself and channeling, or it came from somebody that was a witness to something.
Absolutely.
But that person that was a witness to something didn't have something to take notes on, right?
No.
Okay, so we're left then to use our memories. So yesterday I was at a pet sitting client's house, and I had opened a dog food can, and they have a lid that goes on top of the can to keep it fresh, right? I put that down and I couldn't find it. Like, where was it? I'm like, it's a red lid. It should stand out. It's a red lid. Like, this is ridiculous. I can't find it. I turn around, walk away, and I see it on the floor, and it's a blue lid. And I would have sworn that it was red on everything I had, but it was blue. This is the kind of thing that happens in these stories, in these things that are passed down.
Right.
It's the memory. You don't remember the details of it. And then maybe you have to embellish a little bit on it. And then we end up with this.
That. It is that.
That's
but
a
it's
part
also thousands of years.
Yes.
And then language. Translation. So, yeah, I think that it gets really misconstrued. Let's take, for example, if you were to try to map your family tree.
Right.
How easy would that be?
Wouldn't be really.
It wouldn't be.
No.
Or another example is maybe a story that's been passed down in your family through decades and decades. How misconstrued that story in itself in your own language that you all speak gets changed throughout time. So
or even things like you were taught that you could get sick by being out in the cold.
Right.
So did my grandma. These are things that her entire life I fought with her on, and your entire life I fought with you on. Your stepmother is a nurse, and you fight with us. Why? Because you were taught this when you were a kid, and it was so embedded in you that you believe it and you can't let it go, even though the proof is there.
It's weird, yeah.
You just won't let it go.
No.
And Kitty was the same way. It's so funny, but it shows you how we are so conditioned to believe what we are taught. And I was taught, and I'm sure most of our listeners were taught from a young age about the hell and the devil.
Yep.
And that if you are a bad person, you are going to hell. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
Let me say what the definition of hell.
Okay.
Okay, so hell in religion and folklore is the afterlife location in which evil souls are subjected to punitive suffering, often torture, as eternal punishment after death. Okay, so what you're saying
how do you
is that
torture
this
a soul?
amazing God that gave us this beautiful planet to live on and gave us such wonderful things and loves us so much is willing to throw us into a fiery pit because we did not accept certain religious beliefs.
Right.
No.
Right, and then you start splitting hairs on that, and you're like, okay, so an infant dies at birth.
Yep.
Well, he didn't have a chance to repent.
Right.
Or a sixth grader dies in a school bus or gets hit by a car, and he has no concept of God or religion or, where's his chance? It doesn't make an ounce of sense.
It doesn't. And you know what? It's fear-based. It's all fear-based.
Yes, I like, there's a small percentage of these scriptures that I definitely agree with and believe in.
Yes.
However, I feel like a larger percentage of it, they missed the mark.
Yes, I believe a lot of it is a metaphor.
Yes,
a lot.
So I feel like this wasn't established or written to be a quote-unquote religion.
Right.
It was supposed to instill faith and love and kindness in us all to treat each other. That was God trying to say that through these people. But the other side of that is, I kind of forgot what I was saying. But anyways, go ahead.
Okay. Let's see. Well, I asked on that subject of metaphor, I asked our listeners if they believe that the concept of the devil is real or if maybe it is just a metaphor for something else.
Right.
And 73% that said that they do believe it is a metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I really believe, honestly, we are in hell right now, in my opinion.
Right. That's what I was going to say, if I can interrupt you.
No, go.
It's just that the religion is man-made.
Shattering, see?
The religion's man-made.
Yes. It's very man-made.
It was made to control.
It was.
And I get that on some level. That this world, based on our own ding-dongness, we need some sort of buddy in control and to boss us around.
Right.
At least that's what we've been told.
Yes.
So it was established to create control and a little bit of less chaos in the world. That's what I was going to say. Sorry.
No problem. I'm glad you remembered.
Thank you.
So yes, 73% said that they believe it's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor.
It is a metaphor.
Yeah.
I truly believe, like you said, that this is hell right here, or this is purgatory, or whatever you want to call it. This is the worst it's going to get. This is the devil as a metaphor is people, and what we do, we really are the devil, so to speak, even though there's only one. I really believe, or we're the demons.
Right.
We're the ones that mess it all up. We're the ones that make it bad. People talk about free will. Well, okay, if there's such an amazing God, why is he giving us free will? Well, that's what life's about.
Mm-hmm.
What would life be about if it wasn't about free will and learning all these
You
things?
shared something on Facebook about when we're put on this earth, we're, what was it? About tested?
Oh, yeah. We're, it was something along the lines of when we put through school, we are taught and then tested.
We're given a lesson and then tested.
There you go. We are given a lesson and then tested. But in life, we are tested to learn the lesson.
Yes.
That's what it was.
That's kind of what this is all supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you could take it for that or not. But I honestly feel that if you come back, you may not come back to Earth.
Right. Well, yeah, that
you
too.
might go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you that this is the worst it gets.
Yes.
And actually, I believe that Earth is probably the toughest place.
Yes, I agree.
And there's a reason for it.
Right.
So if you're here, it means you chose to be here.
Right.
To face this in your journeys, your soul's journey. And it's a tough one.
It is.
But you won't always, even if you come back here, it may not necessarily be tough again.
Right.
It could be easier. But if you go somewhere else, I don't think it's nearly as tough. I think we are a unique species.
Yeah, for sure. Both of us actually, but I'll share my story a little bit. This concept of hell not being real is new to me.
Right.
I used to be so afraid of going to this fiery pit called hell that I actually got baptized as an adult after 9/11. 9/11 scared the hell out of me. I was like, oh my God, if I die right now, I'm going to hell. I took a class about baptism, what I was doing. I don't remember anything. I just remember being like, I just need to get baptized in case I die. What is that?
Right. I did it. And I didn't grow up in a religious household with either of my parents who were divorced. Neither of their households were religious, or I wasn't forced to do it. I sought it.
Yes, I did too.
Through a friend that I could, that I was really close with. And, he was doing it and really into it. And I could see something happy about him, and I inquired. So I went.
Yeah.
And it was immediately shoved down my throat.
Yeah.
And I had similar experiences, like that feeling, that energy and the presence. So because you hear other people say it, you think, oh, I was born again because I felt that. Right. But I've felt that so many times in my life.
Right.
Since then.
Yeah.
So I don't, but the whole hell thing was shoved down my throat and put a fear in me that said, oh, I better get it right. Yeah. And I did the baptism thing and, all that. And do I feel like baptism is a bad thing? No.
There's nothing.
Whatever
bad
your
about
mind
it.
is thinking about, like if you're using that as a form to cleanse yourself and kind of an honor to God, like your connection, totally cool.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that if you're not baptized and you don't admit that Jesus died on a cross,
right,
that you're going to go to hell.
It doesn't make any sense. My grandma, she was never baptized. Like, my family was not religious at all. So she was never baptized. And then in 2010, she got sick and she was in the hospital, and I thought she was going to die. And I called in somebody to baptize her because I remember how nervous she was that she was going to die without that. And she didn't know she was unconscious, and she did survive that. And I talked to her about it later, and she didn't remember it happening. So her whole life, she still went thinking that she wasn't baptized because she died thinking that because she didn't remember it.
That sucks. We put that fear into each other.
It was in me too. That's why I had it done, because I was like, I don't want my grandma to go to hell. I did it for both of us. And I just, not that it was a waste of time. I'm not saying that these are life lessons. I'm glad I did it. But it was just why put so much energy into something? I don't know.
Even when you get into stuff, that could be related to this, like paranormal and I don't buy it.
No.
I think that if there are any signs of and I'm sure we've all had somebody in our life that we go, oh man, that guy he wasn't like a real religious person by any means, and wonder if he went to hell. Look, and some of those people might have the feelings like that person's around them.
Right.
Well, I think there's one huge reason why anybody has that feeling or connection from the other side is that they're trying to say, hello, we're here, first of all. And second, there is no hell.
Right.
Because we're all here.
Right. Yes, absolutely. After my mom died, my perception changed of it, because the way that I looked at death at that point was my mom went through it and I just want to be where she is. Mm-hmm. I worked for a Mormon family for a while after my mom died, and they were talking a lot about the different levels and how you get to the upper levels and that you want to be at the top.
Right.
And I was like, I don't care what level I'm on, as long as I'm with my mom. Yeah. Doesn't matter to me. And that really kind of calmed me down.
Right.
I didn't think about that so much anymore. You know, I was just like, well, wherever she is. And I've made a lot of mistakes in my life.
Yeah.
And my mom made a lot of mistakes in her life. So I'm like, I know we'll be in the same place. And now I do understand. I don't remember much about the Mormon religion, but I do understand their level concept and how that works.
Think about this, how it must have been back then, like pre-Roman Empire time. Mm-hmm. Right, where like there isn't this book that people have read now and stories of hell and, you know, Satan and all this stuff. So there isn't this common fear running around in everybody. I think the Roman Empire, in particular, that Catholic influence on the Bible had a lot to do with putting that fear into us. And now giving us these images, and throughout time and technology, we take these stories and we make horrific movies and shows and things that play on people's fears.
Yep.
But again, it's man-made.
Yes.
Just as much as religion is man-made.
It is. Not that there isn't truth to every religion. Every religion has some truth,
I would be curious to know, in other religions, is there a devil in every one of them?
Well, okay, so there were a few things that I looked up, and one of them was, it wasn't necessarily about the devil, it was more about hell, about if they believed in hell and exorcisms. We'll get into that later. And for the most part, it is a Christian-based belief, the devil and hell.
Right.
But evil spirits, that's a completely different subject. So demons, a lot of these religions do believe. So
I just wondered if that was more synonymous with, like, the Christian religion, just kind of the devil and that.
Yes. It's very Catholic as well. It's not just Christian. It's deep Catholic.
Right. And I kind of feel it's so deep-seated in society now that people use that as an excuse when they do stupid things.
I absolutely agree with that. The devil made me do it.
Baloney.
No.
Your free will. You chose and you didn't listen to the voice that we all says that's not a good idea.
Right, exactly. And you know what? Sometimes we do bad things. Even, I don't want to say that we're told or we're pushed in the direction to do bad things, but sometimes bad things happen to push us in a direction of good. Right. And so just because maybe something bad happens or, you do something bad, it doesn't mean that it has any kind of bearing on the devil or, even the other side being negative. It's pushing you in the direction you're supposed to go.
Right.
And then there's free will, like you said. Free will makes us do a lot of the stupid stuff that we do.
Right. Look at how, as young as I can remember, watching Looney Tunes cartoons and seeing the angel and the devil on Sylvester's shoulders of whether or not to eat Tweety Bird.
Right.
That has been embedded into so much of us.
Yes.
Especially the ones that grew up in modern technology that have seen these throughout the years. People maybe that didn't watch television or there wasn't around at the time might be different. But that's embedded.
It is.
In us. And that's an excuse.
It's very freeing to not worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this today about that people that don't believe or people that believe like we do are often looked at as being demons, that we're bad because we don't believe, in those things. It's ridiculous. it's dumb.
Yeah.
It's all concepts that have been, shoved down our throat.
Right.
Yeah.
And even in music, how they've tried to imply,
yes, a lot.
sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Okay, well, what human doesn't like sex? Most of them I know.
Most people, yeah.
And most people like music, maybe not rock and roll.
Yep, most people.
Drugs, that's your preference, but
everybody has a drug, whether it's something that you put into your body or you shop or you whatever.
Right.
We all have something that could be considered a drug.
Sure.
So those are your devils, I suppose. Right. But once you're released from feeling that way, it's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that I found really interesting is that as we talk about different levels of heaven, there's also different levels of hell, so to speak. Okay, this was really interesting on a few different ways. But first of all, let me tell you what the different levels are. So there's hell of the damned, and that's basically where everybody that's bad goes. That probably Christians would believe that's where we're going.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it'll be fun there. I mean.
I'm just trying to picture him stabbing you with a fiery sword, and yet
when
it
you
goes
have no
right
body.
through you. It's
right.
like you're like,
You can't stab my soul.
The
hand motions you guys can't see are pretty funny.
There's a kebab of orbs on this sword.
Right. It's just okay. So then the second one is purgatory, and purgatory is basically it's the process and place of purification or temporary punishment. So basically, if you've done something, I think that this is mostly about if you're not a believer, but you've been a good person, that this is where you go, things like that. They have all of their, how do you get into purgatory, blah, blah, blah. But your punishment is basically 1,000 to 2,000 years in purgatory if you don't fit the other criteria of why you'd be going to hell or heaven.
Gosh.
Okay, then these two really shocked me. However, they no longer exist because a pope said they didn't need to exist. No, this is true. Okay. One is called limbo of fathers or patriarchs. And this is a temporary state for those who, despite the sins they may have committed, have a connection to the Lord. Okay. So they basically are, despite the sins they may have committed. So they've committed sins, but they're good with the Lord. They've been baptized, whatever. So this is where they go. That's what I took from this. Am I taking that right, do you think?
No, I get it.
Yeah, that's what I believe they're saying.
Kind of get it, but...
Yeah. The other one is the limbo of infants. And this is where infants and the mentally impaired go. They don't stay in these places, or I should say they didn't, because now this doesn't exist anymore. Right. But this, seriously, think about this.
The irony about what you said here is that the Pope, again,
he said,
Catholic, Rome, Catholic, just like the Pope came out many years ago and all of a sudden said that gay marriage was no longer a sin.
Right.
For crying out loud.
Yeah.
Come on.
Either it is or it isn't.
Right.
Make up your minds.
You guys... Here's the point, is that there was an age of enlightenment prior to the Roman Empire taking control.
Yes.
And that's when Jesus and all that crap happened, right? There was an age of enlightenment where people didn't have this fear shoved down their throat.
Right.
They relied on their intuition and the energy and the love that was around. Then we get into this and shoving this down our throat for thousands of years.
Right.
And still having people just kind of laugh now, I think, when they hear a lot of these announcements from the Pope. It's like, really? You guys are so screwed up. You call everybody else the devils, but you've got priests that have been being very inappropriate for decades.
I know that in most places these commercials don't air because I've asked a few people, but here in California, we have things on the radio where it says, were you abused by a Catholic priest?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a boy that was abused by?
Call
it specifically says boy.
8 million.
It's really a thing. It's on the radio. I hear it almost every day. Really?
Mm-hmm.
In religion.
Because now they're like
the devils.
They want to go. Everybody's so happy, so they want to do that. But you know what I mean? It's
the fact that needs to be on the radio.
We're moving into an age of enlightenment again.
Yes,
we're there.
I believe that.
It's happening, and that is pure proof right there. When a religion that's been around for that long is starting to change their rules,
right?
the ones they've been telling everybody they're going to burn in hell for.
Right.
They're starting to change their rules.
Right.
And then remove things that did exist. And, what? Did God come to the Pope and tell the Pope this? Come on.
I don't understand why people can't use logic when it comes to these things. And I'm one of them because I didn't for a long time. But now I've sat with this and not only have I thought about it logically, but I've listened to the intuitive messages that I've received.
Yeah.
And I understand it. And I understand that there is a need for religion. And there's probably even a need for people to believe in things like hell and the devil to control us. Because if you didn't believe in these things, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to end up like us, and you're going to want to help people more, and you're going to love and understand what it's about. Or you're going to be a bad person, and you're going to go, well, I'm just going to do a free-for-all then if I don't have anything that I have to pay for later.
Right.
But that's the thing is you do have to pay for it later.
Well, and you're going to judge yourself.
Right.
And it's kind of like, I don't know what. I don't know if it's like based on just popularity, because when you go to the other side, it's your essence of what you are is that you really are. Each one of us is really an extension of God. We are good, but we're put here and told and shown certain things to test us.
Yeah.
And our free will to go, are you going to do that? Or are you going to do this?
Right. Exactly.
And then if you do that, and you go back and you realize, I wasn't supposed to do that.
Right.
I guess I got to go back and learn. Mm-hmm. That's really all that's going to happen to you.
Exactly. And you know what? Like I said, this place is like hell. It is. I mean, it's the hardest thing that you're going to have to do right here. This is it.
And it can be hard.
It is. It is hard. It's a roller coaster. This spiritual awakening, it really... It shows you that. It shows you how precious life is. And I wish I had so many years back knowing what I know now. Right. I really do.
But the beauty is that kind of, I mean, not that this is an amazing gift to live this life, but you won't have to come back as many times, to learn certain things.
Yeah, you repay your karma while you're here.
You're learning it now.
Right. Oh, I'm learning it, man.
Yeah. And paying the karma.
And paying the karma. I've been paying the karma.
That's the biggest thing. It doesn't matter what you believe in. It's what you do.
That's exactly right. That's it. If you want to do bad things, if you want to have the devil inside you, then the devil will be inside you because you created it. If you want to have the angels inside you, then you create that.
Right.
It's, again, perception.
Right.
Again, the whole concept.
Yep.
So the next topic that I wanted to talk about was exorcisms. And I asked our listeners how many people believe that there is such a thing as demon possession and the need for exorcisms, and 64% said no. There is not such a thing as possession. And I totally, it's
not what we're thinking. It's not devil related.
No. It's
not people's heads spinning around and floating above a bed. I do believe there are situations where a confused or twisted kind of soul that has died and won't accept where they're at yet, their perception. So they kind of linger around.
Yes.
And and I can't get too deep into how and why in this episode.
Yeah.
But there are instances where they can jump into an unoccupied body.
Right. It kind of goes back to simultaneous time.
Right.
Which we did talk about.
Right.
But yeah, that's a confusing subject. But yes, I agree with you. But in the sense, let me read you this definition of what an exorcism is considered. It's a religious or spiritual practice of evicting demons or other spiritual entities from a person or place that are believed to be possessed. So we're not just talking about a person, we're talking about a place. Right. So I started looking up what religions do exorcisms, and for the most part, to some extent, they all do, but it's not necessarily about the devil. A lot of times it's about evil spirits.
Right.
But then you go into Buddhism. Why can't I ever say that word? Buddhism. I don't know.
I don't know.
No habla
Buddhism?
inglés. Okay, I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, they look at it like, how can I explain it? The way that we sage and we smudge to get rid of like evil spirits, they kind of do those things. They have like
energy
festivals
exercise.
and things like that. And so then I started thinking about it, and a lot of people do sage for getting rid of evil spirits so that things like possession don't happen. And I do believe that smudging does work, but I think it works in a very different way than getting rid of demons or evil spirits. It releases the negative energy in your home or wherever you are. It's not about getting rid of evil spirits or, that.
They did touch on that in one of, I think it was Five Lives Remember, also about exorcisms. And that if it was necessary, that you don't need a Catholic priest like you've seen in the movie Exorcist. You can simply command it yourself.
Right.
In the name of God or Christ.
Right.
Doesn't matter. And the reason why is because Christ is high enough, closest to God. They have to honor both.
Right.
And again, it's not an entity from hell, from another place. It's just a soul from the same place that's being commanded.
Right.
You can do it yourself. Someone else can do it.
Right. Well, but
it doesn't take holy water and crosses and things like that.
Some of the things that we did like with the ghosts and everything, it kind of ties into this as well, is that like how the ghost can do these types of things and how people like myself feel these kinds of things. And those are often looked at as signs of possession. Things just like the flickering of the lights and maybe like telepathy, those types of things. Those are all things that they consider to be signs of exorcisms or I mean, a possession. It's like, but why? Why are we looking at it from that point of view?
Because we want to imply devil and demon into all these things when it's not. It's a confused soul.
Right, exactly.
That's it. And they're just they're not accepting what's happened.
Right.
And they kind of linger. Do they linger forever? Couldn't tell you.
Right.
But I know that some do.
And sometimes even like regular spirits, which is, most of them, they can feel like something that may be bad because your own mind is playing tricks on you. Like I used to have that problem a lot, that I would hear my own voice and I would hear theirs. And I don't want to say it would sound demonic, but sometimes there was like swearing and stuff involved. And I realized that what was happening was they were trying to teach me to separate my thoughts from their thoughts. So the swearing was a good way because it showed me that's my thought. They're not giving me that. Do you know what I mean? So when I did this research, one of the things that I wanted to make clear in here is that what you're talking about is not the only way that these things happen, but also is things like schizophrenia, which can be, I believe, a lot of schizophrenic people are misdiagnosed, that they're just psychic.
Yeah.
Because I started reading some stuff.
I believe it.
I started.
They just don't know how to handle it.
Right, exactly. You have to learn how to meditate and all that. And I'm not saying it's as easy as that just to, get rid of that. But here's the thing is I started reading this and I started reading the signs of the difference between are you schizophrenic or are you possessed by the devil? And I found this to be kind of disturbing because this is on a site called mentalillnesspolicy.org.
All right.
Okay. And they talk about how to tell if somebody is schizophrenic or possessed by the devil. And what I realized is that according to this, I'm possessed by the devil. People that are schizophrenic have irrational speech, and people that are possessed by the devil have rational speech. People that are schizophrenic are doing ordinary learning. People that are possessed by the devil have supernatural knowledge. I have a lot of supernatural knowledge.
Oh my God.
For people that are schizophrenic, there is an attraction to religion. For people that are possessed, it's an aversion to religion. The devil wants nothing to do with religion at all. Okay. Then there is the occult phenomena. That if you are involved in the occult phenomena, you know somebody that they're possessed by the devil. And what does that include? It includes poltergeists, levitation, trances, telepathy, psychic ability. Okay. So my psychic ability is because I'm possessed by the devil. They claim to be possessed means they're schizophrenic. If you don't claim to be possessed, it's because you're possessed.
Man, what site is this?
This is called
mentalhealth.org.
mentalillnesspolicy.org, and it's supposedly like just facts.
Love to know who funds them.
But see, here's the thing, is that the internet is full of this type of thing. It's full of it.
Yeah.
But there's also articles that do talk about how schizophrenia is probably something else. And I do believe that I do believe that a lot of that is misdiagnosed.
Oh, yeah.
And I do believe that a lot of people that believe in religion want to think that people like me are demons.
Right.
How is that? Because all I do all day is take care of others and do things for others. I do free readings. I take care of animals. I am the last person on my list, but I'm possessed by the devil.
Because we're kind of essentially in society raised to hate or dislike anybody we don't know and don't understand.
Yeah, right. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Again, it's all about using good judgment here. It's
absolutely.
When I first got into this work, it was something that I was worried about having to try and explain to people, that this isn't the devil's work and I'm not going to hell for doing it.
No.
And there's a lot of people that they probably have a hard time with that. With me. I have lost friends, but I have gained friends. I have gained friends that are more like me, and that's, what's important.
And there's some that have been totally embraced it, and like, not that they're all about it, but they're totally like, wow, cool.
But I wanted to know how to deal with people that wanted to get into this type of thing of, devils and all of that. So I started looking on YouTube for videos, and I came across this really cool video that I've shared before, I believe. I'll try and share it again if I can remember, because the brain.
Right.
It's this girl that basically breaks it down, and she's very vulgar, but she breaks it down how things like schizophrenia and mental illness and other things can be misconstrued as exorcisms. And she gives a couple of stories in there. And one of them is from a movie, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. It's based on a woman called Annalise Michael. And
sounds familiar. I don't know why.
You've watched it with me.
Okay.
You watched the girl, and she goes on and on and on about how this girl had seizures and all of this. So,
okay.
But her family was really, really Catholic, very Catholic. And this was back in I think it was the 1920s. It may have even been earlier. So they didn't have advancements in medicine like we do now. And she was having seizures, and the seizure medication was not helping. It was actually making things worse.
Right.
So her very Catholic mother, she's possessed by the devil. Nothing. She had, I can't remember how many.
There's that Catholic again.
70 exorcisms were performed on this girl. And do you know what happened?
What?
She died, and her autopsy declared her death was a result of emaciation, malnutrition, and starvation at the hands of the priest and her family.
Jeez.
Right. This is
she may have refused food. You don't know that.
She thought she was possessed.
Right.
Because they had her convinced
because they were telling her that. That's ridiculous.
It's a very interesting story.
Epilepsy is a disease.
Yes. And they didn't know much about it back then, and they didn't have ways to treat it. So it's another one of those things that's just misunderstood.
It can very much be under control now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh, man.
So that's just one way that things got misconstrued as being demon possessions. Right. But this is, I don't know if you ever heard this story. It's Smurl family.
Smurl?
Smurl, yeah. And the Smurl family was a very religious family who claimed that their house had poltergeists and demons because first it started with a strange stain on the carpet. Now they had 1, 2, 3, 4 children. Okay. And we all know, we all have kids probably, and we know how it's, oh, I didn't do that.
Right.
Okay. Well, then who did? The demon? Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. Okay. So this is what started it. And they lived in an old house. And so, you think, okay, I live in an old house. There's got to be old dead spirits here, or demons or something, because it's an old house, right? So they had leaky pipes and such. And then a TV caught fire, and their sink was scratched, and unplugged radios started playing, and there were cold spots, and there were strange smells. And I can tell you that the unplugged radios playing, the cold spots, and the strange smells, those are spirit related. Those are things spirits do. And these other things that made them think that their home was possessed,
right?
Those are normal things that happen to people. Things happen.
Yeah.
I mean, why does that have to mean that it's possessed?
Right.
Now, this family in particular, they ended up writing books, and a movie was made about their story. So there's a lot of people, myself included, that believe that they did this just for the money of it.
Well, the Amityville Horror Story.
Right.
Those couple finally came out and admitted that they pretty much made it all up.
Right.
They bought this house where a murder occurred, and nobody wanted to buy the house.
Yeah.
Because of that. It was a very nice upscale neighborhood, wealthy. Nobody wanted to buy it, so they jumped on it, and then they had a writer friend, and they collaborated this whole thing, and they made a lot of money.
Right.
It says it's really based on a true story. I've seen interviews where, like, I think it was, I don't know if it was a friend or a nanny or something, but it was like the red room was like a stupid little closet. There was nothing about it. It was all red hyped. Painted closet.
It's all hyped for Hollywood.
Even Exorcist. It's not. Yeah. That's not at all what happened in that situation.
We talked about that. Episode 13 was about Ouija boards, and we talked about how Ouija got started, and it was from the movie The Exorcist.
Read the fine print. Based on a true story.
But this home, this Smurls that I was talking about, so they sold this home, right? And the person that moved in never had a problem. No. And the home that the Smurls went to, they never had a problem there.
Right.
Of course not. You've made your money.
Right.
It's ridiculous. This family was saying, the kids were saying that these demons were sexually abusing them. Give me a break.
No.
Give me a break.
Maybe somebody else was.
Right. That family had problems.
I think so.
If you have it, you guys should look it up, because I can't describe the picture to you because you're not here. But I can tell you that looking at the picture of these people, there is definitely something wrong with them.
Yeah. Smurl family not buying it.
No, it's staged. You can tell by this picture that it's staged. They're totally,
They're on the bandwagon. If somebody else did it, let's do it.
Right. It's just, it's all
makeup. We're making it up.
It is. Where does it stop? It doesn't. It just keeps going. And I know this has nothing to do with Halloween and wearing a devil's costume, and that's all fun. But there are people that look at you wearing that devil costume and think that you're going to hell for wearing that devil costume.
Right.
That's the type of society that we live in. Right. And I feel like if people just thought a little bit more logically about these things, instead of just going like, oh, well, I heard it in church.
I hear a lot of things everywhere.
Right.
Right. Stupid.
Yeah. But
that's my opinion.
Me too.
But
on all of it, I think that, we can be possessed by our own demons. Our demons live inside of us.
Yeah, it's your mind. It's a very powerful thing.
Your mind is very, very, very powerful.
So if you focused on putting it to good use, you'd probably see even more how powerful it is and wouldn't have to live such a crappy life.
That's absolutely right. And just because bad things happen to you doesn't mean that you're possessed.
No.
Or you have a curse.
No.
Or any of these other things that we've talked about in this series. It just means that you're human just like the rest of us. Or maybe you're repaying karma.
Right. And people have mental illness.
Yes.
And so, that doesn't mean you have the devil inside of you because you have mental illness.
Not at all. There's why do we look at mental illness that way? Why is it something of the brain that we look at that way and
I
not
think it's
other things?
just like a way that the mind all of a sudden recognizes how powerful it is.
Yeah.
And somehow that particular soul can't handle that.
Right.
That understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just kind of give up.
Right.
Because, some days for all of us, some of the simplest tasks of just getting up and going to work can be a mental battle.
Yes.
And there's depression and things like that
Mm-hmm.
that add to that. So, but you have the control. It's all within your perception of it all.
And there's drugs. There's all kinds of drugs that
Absolutely.
make people do crazy things
Yeah.
and act crazy ways. So you may see, a heroin junkie that's
Mm-hmm.
doing some weird things.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean they're possessed. Those drugs are affecting their brain that way. But there's a lot of people that believe that those are all comes back to the devil and that
Devil
those
made me do
people
it.
are going to hell or whatever. And you know what? Those people are not going to hell. None of us are.
Nope.
We're all going to the same place, and it's where we learn. And then we'll come back here and we'll do it all over again. So instead
and learn more.
And I know I'm getting religious and I'm preaching, and I'll listen back to this episode and I'll be like, oh, there's Mom preaching through me. But instead of wasting your time worrying about going to hell, spend your time being a good person. Spend your time trying to make up for the bad shit that you've done in your life. Instead of going, oh, well, I've done bad stuff, so I'm just going to continue to do it because there's no way, I'm still going to hell for what I did. No. You're not.
No.
At all. You're in your own hell. These are your own demons.
Somebody, a mutual friend of ours, shared something on Facebook about, it was more had to do with grudges and not holding grudges, but it said in essence that each day we wake up is a chance to start it all over.
Right.
And you really can.
Can.
Because it's just the past.
Yep.
It's just time,
And you know what? I'm not telling people to throw their beliefs out. What I'm telling you is to think for yourself a little bit. If you've lived your entire life thinking that there's a hell, because that's what you've been taught, think about it for a little while.
Right.
Stop reading what's on the internet because
don't be afraid
there's
to
so
question.
much stuff. Yeah. Don't be afraid to question. Just think about it logically.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you'll start to see, wow, okay, does it really make sense that there's this fiery pit that I'm going to spend eternity in?
Yeah.
With a pitchfork, Yeah. Type. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm going to burn when I don't have a body. Doesn't make sense. What's going to burn? You're not going to feel pain if you have no body. The body's the only thing that has the feelings.
Yeah.
I'm done lecturing. Sorry.
That's all right.
It's what happens.
I agree.
Yeah. And you hear me do this, so you can be one to say, this is the other side speaking through me.
Yeah.
This is me, Samantha, stepping aside and letting them say.
There's freedom in this.
Yeah, there's a lot of freedom.
When you really realize and accept that it's not at all what we've been really shown, and there's a reason that, I don't know why certain humans in the world want to hide, what's really going on. But that's just how this world is. That's the big test.
Right.
Is can you see through that veil?
Right.
And can you see through the bullshit?
Exactly.
And see the truth?
Say that. Yep.
And
you see through the bullshit. Not just what you've been taught, but your own.
Yeah.
Because your own is just as important.
Oh, I dump out bullshit all the time.
Well, yeah.
And it's like, I still find myself on the floor sifting through it.
Right.
So, yeah, but that's just a part of our lesson in our life. And that, hey, the one thing we can all say to each other is, you're not alone.
No.
Because I'm here too.
Right.
So that really is the bottom line. We're all in different places, different bodies, different stages.
Journeys,
but
different everything.
We are all experiencing the same thing here.
Right. And we've all done good and we've all done bad, because I'll tell you what, even the best have done bad.
Yep.
It's just the way it goes, and you have to release yourself of those things. And, I get it.
Yeah. But if, like you said, and that was wonderful, if you feel this or it has you oppressed because of this belief and you've always wanted to question it.
But yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. You may come back to the same conclusion that you're at right now, or you may open your mind. I think people are afraid of opening their mind because it means that they do have to challenge everything that they've ever been taught. And that's where the spiritual awakening comes in. And that's when your life changes.
Yeah.
So you can just sit back and believe everything you've been taught.
Yeah.
Or you can think for yourself and maybe start experiencing life on a different level. I like this level.
Right. If you want to be shown the truth, then just sit, pray, meditate, and ask to be shown the truth.
Yep.
And you will, but you got to open your mind. You got to step away from what you're used to and just keep an open mind. And gradually you'll be like, oh, that's weird.
Right.
Oh, that was weird. That was weird. You know?
One of the reasons people are afraid to let go is because if they say that there's no devil, then they believe it gives the devil the opportunity to do something. They're opening themselves up. But what you're saying is that you don't believe. Mm-hmm. Because if you believed, you wouldn't worry about that.
Or the ultimate result could be you were wrong and you are going to burn in hell.
Well, yeah. I guess I'll
Isn't
find
that
out.
the fear in itself that they've planted? So
yes.
We're right back to square one at that point.
I can tell you that there's not 1% of me that believes that I'm going anywhere other than to a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And I will admit that I've done some really bad things in my life. And I've learned, and I've learned from them and I've changed and I'm working on it. And if you do bad things your entire life and you don't deal with some of it here, then you come back and you deal with it in your next life. That's your own personal hell, not a fiery pit with a little devil and his pitchfork and
nope.
That's all I have to say about that.
Good job.
You too.
I like it.
I knew it was going to get like that for me because I'm very passionate about it.
Right.
I really am. Yeah.
I can't believe that I believed this for so long.
Me either.
You know, that way of thinking, and it really did. The fear of death really would kind of cripple me sometimes.
Me too.
Not really. Yeah, I don't really want to experience any of that, but not necessarily the experience, but where I was going after.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, this had me really
it's freeing.
Confused for a long time, and now it's like I don't have that same fear.
Not at all.
I'm not in any hurry because I have a lot planned to do in this life, but I'm excited to see the other side again. Right.
And you can tell that we mean it because we're not afraid to say it. If we were afraid to say it, then that would show some kind of belief that maybe there is a hell and there is a demon.
Right.
I'm not afraid to say it because I know that there's not going to be something that's going to possess me for saying it.
Right.
I know I'm not possessed, even though all these stupid symptoms show that I am. I'm not possessed. I'm a light worker. I'm here to help, and that's what I'm going to do.
Keep doing it.
I'm doing it.
Keep
you
on
too,
keeping on.
You are too.
Yeah.
We're both here for that.
Yeah, I'm glad again that I'm bummed that I believed that for so long, but I'm so happy that in this life I woke up.
Yep.
And I see it.
Yep.
So as far as I'm concerned, that was my main mission.
Yeah.
Was to tap into it and connect to it. And I can only hope that through that, in my next journeys, I will be able to maybe connect sooner.
I hope so, for me too.
You know?
Yeah. Know this sooner would be really nice.
Yeah.
It would have changed a lot in my life.
But
yours too. And I'm sure
I'm not
a lot
at all disappointed.
I'm not either. I think we take this journey the way it comes at us for a reason.
Yeah.
And we're learning this now together for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And sharing it for an even bigger reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if this was around when I was growing up and there was a chance for me to listen to some different opinions, I may have not wasted a long time.
People don't want to talk about it because they don't want to be unpopular. And I know that there's a lot of people right now maybe listening to this thinking that I don't know what I'm talking about and I'm going to have an evil spirit come after me tonight. And that's bull.
Right. We have spirits around here all the time.
Things happen to me. That doesn't mean that it's because of bad spirits. It means because sometimes I do stupid things and sometimes I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time because of free will and I'm human.
Yep.
It doesn't mean I'm possessed or nothing.
No.
Eh.
And if, something tragically happened to you and you died, that was just your time.
Yeah. And this gives you that freedom to feel that way too. It's like,
Right.
I don't want anybody going anywhere, but I realize that, when that happens,
That's a part of our reality.
It
and
is,
that's
and
what I
we'll be
meant by we're
happier
all
over there.
experiencing the same thing, meaning birth and death.
Yep.
Everything else in between, that's your own personal journey.
Yep.
But we can all look at each other and go, we have to do this. We all have to do this.
Yep, we do.
So,
For that.
well, great episode.
I think so.
Splendid.
Yeah.
We
can chatter, man.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Well, before we say adios, want to give any info?
Yeah, sure. Let's plug me and us a little bit.
Good.
So everything you want to know about me, you can find on my website at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. You can find our podcast there and the links, because we do have Facebook and Instagram. You can find my blog and the links to that. You can schedule reading, everything. Just boom, make it easy for you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then you, sir.
If you like art, I do it. You can find me at djonesartcollection.com on the internet, and also on Facebook and Instagram at djonesartcollection. Music, gypsybrown.com on the web, and Facebook also, and Instagram at Gypsy Brown Music.
Hey.
So art, I haven't started, but I'm going to start a rapper, but I'm not going to spill the beans because I haven't done a rapper yet.
No, you haven't. That's right.
So,
I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to get, like all genres of music, all
Right.
races, and just
Yeah, you're covering
being
a lot.
little
You're
bit
doing
more
a good job.
PC. I don't go right for the most popular or the most
No.
current, that have passed, but
I
I'm
think
trying to get them all at some point.
You like to do controversial ones too, I've noticed.
Yeah, I like to push the envelope
do,
a
yeah.
little bit,
Yeah.
make it a little risky.
The last one, Marina and I both were like,
Yeah, I thought some of my family was going to be like, whoa. And
Yeah.
they were the ones that were like, liked it right off the bat.
it was Sid Vicious?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should
And
go
like
check
my
it
Aunt
out.
Mert was like, thumbs up. I love it.
Oh, que lindo. That's what my half-brother's grandma would say if she saw it.
That's funny.
Que lindo.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I plan to try to hit them all at some point.
Yeah.
I'll never hit them all, but whatever.
But it's good to strive for it.
Absolutely.
You never know. Maybe you will.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, that's it for us, guys. We
Yep,
appreciate
that's
it. Thanks so much for listening,
Thanks for listening.
and we hope you have a wonderful week. And until next week.
Peace and love.